lot of times we get caught up like what Christianity did for us. Just like what the Israelites are doing. They're caught up in sorcery, magic, tricks. That's all it is. You can add all of them up together. They're just going to come out to be tricks. You trick somebody into believing something. Because we all thought we all came over here on slave ships. But they can't find one ship.
Thought we all came over here on slave ships. Thought we all came over here on slave ships.
Shed light on the brutal treatment endured by enslaved women who were subjected to forced breeding. They were often separated from their partners and forced into unwanted sexual relationships, with several men to bear children for their owners' economic gain. Plantation records and advertisements. In her powerful narrative, Jacobs recounts her experience of being sexually exploited and coerced into bearing children. She writes, "I knew nothing would enrage Dr. Flint so much as to know that I favored another." These testimonies and historical documents serve as a haunting reminder of the deep-rooted horrors of slave breeding. South, accounts of slave auctions and advertisements for selling enslaved individuals often referenced their breeding capabilities as a significant selling point. For instance, an advertisement from some of the southern newspapers in the 18th century could read something like, "An excellent breeding woman, aged 25, with 4 young children, is a relationship between Thomas Jefferson, the former president of the United States, and Sally Hemings, his slave. It is widely believed that Jefferson fathered several children with Hemings, but never acknowledged them as his children." On plantations, slave owners would select certain enslaved men who exhibited desirable traits, such as strength, endurance, and physical stature. These men were then paired with enslaved women deemed suitable for breeding, with the intention of producing offspring who would contribute to the labor force and increase the wealth of the slaveholder. They were often referred to as studs or breeding stock, reducing their humanity to mere breeding tools. While specific testimonies from enslaved men regarding their experiences as breeding subjects may be limited, often rewarded enslaved men who could impregnate the most women. It is believed that slave masters incentivized the ability to impregnate the most slave women. This sounds crazy. Thomas Nicholson, an enslaved man owned by John Randolph of Virginia, was another individual who was rumored to have been rewarded for his ability to father children with multiple enslaved women on the Randolph plantation. His role as a breeding stud earned him certain privileges and a somewhat elevated status compared to other enslaved individuals. James Hammond. In his diary, Hammond detailed how he bred enslaved people for profit and offered rewards to the enslaved men who could impregnate the most women. Enslaved women were then made to breed with enslaved men who were not their husbands or partners. The kids were sold as well. They were often separated from their mothers and auctioned off to other plantation owners.
Slave, sister was a slave, father was a slave.
They know nothing about reading right there. All that I know, they teach you to mind your master and your missus.
But the actual voices of men and women, Americans, who were born in slavery.
My name is Fountain Hughes. I was born in Charlottesville, Virginia. My grandfather belonged to Thomas Jefferson. My grandfather was 115 years old when he died. And now I am 101 years old.
Incredible as it seems, we are listening to the voices of ex-slaves telling of their lives in bondage.
Slavery days very well.
Of course, I remember all our white folks, and all the names of them, all the children. Call every one of the children's names.
Who did you belong to?
Jim Bunton, the baby boy.
We belong to people. They sell us like they sell horses and cows and hogs and all like that. Have an auction bench. And they put you up on the bench and bid on you, the same as you're bidding on cattle, you know.
Here is 91-year-old Texan Laura Smalley talking in the 1940s about the outcome of a tussle between 2 women, one black, one white, one slave, one mistress. The mistress tried to slap the slave, but the black woman pushed her into a chair. Laura Smalley was a girl at the time, but she remembers vividly what happened to the black woman when the master came home.
Well, they taken that old woman, poor old woman, carried in the peach orchard and whipped her. And, just tied her hand this way, around the peach orchard tree. I remember that just as well, looked like to me, I can, and round the tree and whipped her. And, well, she couldn't do nothing but just kick her feet, just kick her feet.
It's not clear what will happen to the Clotilda's remains, but residents of Africatown hope to highlight it in a way that draws tourism and business.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahawah Bahashem, Yahawashai Bahashem, Rekha Ha Quadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom and salute to you other elders, you brethren, you believers of the faith, even you few sisters, you supporters of this truth and ministry. And shalom to the elect. So I wanted to go on another edition, and I did a previous video. This man said there is no slave ships. Where the previous video I did, where it showed where we teach right across from a refurbished slave ship / battleship. But this is disturbing, because for the shekels, we see that these people will try to denounce our history. It seems like they're just using these different avenues to throw away the history. Now, this also brings me, and I'll get some scriptures, to the fact of understanding what the Most High felt as we forgot the Lord, right? Now, us that are men in the truth of the hopeful elect, we see our people trying to forget what the Lord has done. And we will never forget it, right? We will never let this go. In fact, for eternity, we will never forget what was done to us. There will be a memorial of us leaving Babylon because of this captivity, right? Like they have Memorial Day, we'll have a great Passover day, you know? So I just want to touch on that. But this is something I found disturbing as well, of how our people are quick to throw away history. I looked at this thing called the white slave trade, right? And you can call it that if you want, where you had warships and vessels that kidnapped innocent white women and some white men, and they sold them. You could say that, right? In their community, if you want to say that. But look at the reaction. Now, this is nothing like us as a nation. We understand about the Black Irish too, what happened to them. But their white skin saved them. And some of them were still Israelites, by the way. It's not all skin color. But to the so-called black man, what was done to us and to the Native Americans was torture. This wasn't no regular slavery. So anybody comes up and says, what about the white slave trade? You got to show me where they loaded millions of white slaves on ships and carried them too far off in a land with horrible conditions on the ships, where they were chiseling your teeth out. And I did a video on that too, showing Goodbye Uncle Tom. If you can believe it or not, there's other Israelites coming on the channel saying that those are not historical events. And I was going to do a video on that, but I never got to it. Yes, that was based off of, it wasn't called Goodbye Uncle Tom, it was called something else, something Thomas. I can't remember. But look at this. It said the white slave trade, why schools didn't teach us about this truth about the white slave trade. You know why they didn't teach you? Because there was always slaves, right? There's always been slavery. We're slaves now. The difference is what happened to us was a difference. Look at the views on here. 1.4 million. 1.4 million. That means a whole bunch of black people sided with a whole bunch of so-called white people to go on there and try to use this as an excuse to downgrade the transatlantic torture. We don't even need to call that slavery. It was slavery, but the transatlantic torture. And that was like 3 months ago. But now you see on here, slavery was worse than you thought. You know, through the Spirit, I'm glad this person put up this channel, this video. It's called Black Culture Unlocked. Only 161,000. So what happened to all the black people Now, what happened to all the so-called white people coming on? Only 843 comments, but this man did a reaction, got 1.4 million, as if everybody was just in ignorance to the white slave trade. You know why they was ignorant to it? Because it was nothing on a level dealing with what happened to us. Now, and what I put in the intro is only a portion of what I could put in, right? It is even been noted that it came out that they were eating slaves, right? This is Job 30:5, man. These are based, said this is a base man. Habakkuk 2, there's no understanding in him, right? Habakkuk 2, there's no understanding in him. But let's go to Revelation. This was this Uncle Israelite has done. He's now taken slavery off of the ships. So I have no idea why he would do that except to sell out for some shekels. So the question is, does he still believe that slavery existed? And if so, there's still a price to pay, right? This is what you got to do when you got to keep up weirdness. You got to keep changing the doctrine. We keep saying that. We keep our doctrine the same. Most One West keep their doctrine the same. Some may switch here and there and flip because they get caught that we trap them up. It says, for I testify that every man that heareth the word of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add to these things, Yahweh shall add unto him the plagues that are written in his book. And if any man shall take away from the words of this book of this prophecy, Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi, shall take away his part out of the book of life. This man is literally saying that Deuteronomy 28 is an allegory, if you can believe that. This is what he's saying. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 10. 2 Corinthians 10 and 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh to the pulling down of the strongholds, right? Casting down imaginations. See, the Most High allowed these people to continue to keep us understanding what happened, right? Now, the Most High could have wiped it all away, and we wouldn't know what the hell was going on. But if it's still here and it's still in existence, through this man pride showing how we were conquered, yeah. The white Jesus. We was in slavery for a good amount of time, right? And to understand what happened to us, as when you look at today, you look at the Jakes in the rap videos and the woman bouncing their booties in the video, right? All the morals. Jake laying down with women and just leaving, right? Just like in slavery. Mother effer. They had a slave mess with his own mother, right? The women, now they found a new form of slavery, right? Through media, social media, and through your spirit, mentally destroying you. So now you see how Eve gets down, right? This is no secret that our people are systemically destroyed by the masses of media, right? Fatherless homes, and all the other meltdowns that can possibly happen. The uplifting of Eve, right? See, the feminism, well, I'm not going to say on here, but where it was funded, where it came through, we all know. If not, look it up. But it was already known that our people were already broken, and they're going to follow after the people that they want to be like, or that they look up to, who has the money. So they set up this feminist movement, and you see Eve has grasped onto it more than the people that she looks up to. So now they've gone up high, they're funded, they've gone up high, and they're trying to keep it so-called traditional where a man has to take care of them, But then they don't want to be traditional. It's another video. But this is how gone we're fatherless, right? We're all messed up. And you got these characters like this Uncle Israelite who sits here and spew these kind of ridiculous lies. Why did he bring this out 2 years ago? But you know what he did? He watched that guy named Dana, I can't remember his name, Dana something. He spills that madness and is funded and talking about there was no slave ships. So anything that you can possibly imagine that's weird or able to use the media to do, they will do. But it's funny that they don't take down that. All that misinfo that's being spewed out into our so-called community, they don't take that down. We had 4 young so-called black boys come up, and they said that the school taught them that the slaves treated them good. I wonder why. No wonder they fund Eve. Eve is going to be the one to try to destroy us. That's why they set her up. Anyway, you know, the scriptures speak of the son of perdition. And Eve is right along with the son of perdition. They're like the daughters of perdition. And wicked Jake. You join right along with them, man. Ecclesiastes 10:13. It says, the beginning of the words of his mouth is foolishness, and the end of his talk is mischievous and madness. It's completely madness, which mischief go to a high level of evilness. You know? This is another scripture, because you got a lot of these weirdos that hear these all kinds of takes and weird doctrines about the slave ships don't exist. That's what this scripture clearly links to, Matthew 13:9. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received the seed by the wayside. So some people ain't meant to get it. Now going back to slavery, of course, you had tares. You had white men that laid with black women. You had tares. And then like this man that was in high stature, he was held at high esteem because he had, just like your athletes today, they'll be fed better. They'll be taken care of. Just like your Al Sharptons, they take care of them. Those boule, what they call those boulayers, right? Taskmasters, that's what I want to say. They're nothing more than a form of slave owners themselves, right? Let's go to Matthew 23:13. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. Another scripture came to mind is Jeremiah 23:1. Woe to you, pastors that scatter the flock. For ye neither go in on yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering in to go in. Right? Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, to ye devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation. Right? All this man does is sit up in this school, right, with 2 of his readers on the side, and try to break down all kinds of false doctrines. Don't even really hear him go into prophecy, right? Just sit there and just all manners of evil talk, man. Now this word pretense goes back to putting forth a claim, false or hypocritical profession, feigning, alleged, right? A feigning disguise. This is where it goes to, these are wolves, hirelings. That's what this is. This is an Israelite hireling. An Uncle Israelite hireling, man. You know? So anyway, I don't have much else to say on that. I just thought it was really sickening to hear this man You know, that's like we able to make it through all of this. We have to be a strong people to do that because we're the children of Israel, to make it this far. And for these guys like this to set us back, try to set us back 100 steps back, which is not going to happen with the elect. But we got to mark these guys that cause division. That's all I have on that. Shalom.